Hi everyone, we're here streaming the mining and smithing rework. So we've got a whole lot of stuff to show because for the last couple of months we've been working on all the things that plug into mining and smithing that aren't the actual core of the skill. So we're going to show as much of that as we can today. We probably won't get through all of it in an hour. If there's anything you'd particularly like us to show, like, oh, Sarenstone, then say, and we'll try to get to it. Otherwise, we're just going to start, I think, with the most exciting thing we can find, which is what? Mining.
Yeah, mining.
And then and carry on from that. If you're not up to date with what we're doing, we're reworking the mining and smithing skills in RS3 to make them way better. And this is taking quite a long time. And a lot of people are a bit skeptical that it's actually coming out at all. So we want to show you that we are actually making progress, and it is almost done. And we'll talk a bit later about the beta and everything. But we just want to show you that we are actually making progress and we are still working on it. Do you want to do some mining?
Sure, why not?
I guess I should introduce us. I'm a terrible host. I'm Mod Jack, you're Mod Stu, you're Mod Tomb.
Yeah.
Mod Tomby.
Tomb.
Mod Toomby.
No, Tomb.
Okay. So Stu, can you do some mining?
Sure, I can do some mining. So we're here at the primary light Animica site. This moved back and forth a few times while we were doing the design for it, but we've settled on it being roughly central in the desert. The reason behind that is that Animica is meant to be crystallized divine energy. So if, say, a god dies or bleeds out a lot of energy for some reason, then that tends to be where it will concentrate. This is where Tumican exploded in the middle of the desert, so that seemed like a logical one there. The other light Animica site is near Prifdinus, where Seren exploded, so gods exploding seems to be a theme. And then dark Animica leaks out from near Centiston, near the empty throne room. So I'll just do a bit of mining.
They don't need to spam drop, right?
No.
Right. Stop spamming drop, it's making it really hard to read the questions.
We're also showing the new Rockportunity effect here, so every now and again, to encourage you to occasionally click a different rock, it'll highlight a certain rock nearby and you'll get additional progress from hitting that rock.
It's like it used to look like a loot beam and now we've got this amazing golden sparkly effect, which is pretty awesome actually. It's a little excessive, but it's actually it's supposed to catch your eye when you're sort of AFK playing, and it does that a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, we iterated a few times. We had one that was a bit more purple, some that had a much larger noise radius and things, but this one wound up being enough, I think. Also, the artists have implemented the new mining rocks. As you can see, we've got ones of varying size now, so they're not quite as monotonous. Some of them are the larger 2x2 ones. And yeah, that's basically you mine. You click things, and then this progress bar goes up, and when the bar fills, you get resources.
If you're not familiar with the rework at all, we've done quite a lot of stream. We don't really have time to explain all the mechanics now because we've done quite a lot of streams on it in the past, and videos, and there's documents.
Let's see. So crystallize works, for example. You can cast the crystallize spell on a particular rock. It does the glow thing. You click it. Lightform does whatever Lightform does.
Lightform doubles the effect of crystallize. So crystallize is not as good on mining now as it was. It's only a 20% bonus. But wait, hang on. What was it before? Was it 25? Oh, I can't remember. And it only works when you are actively mining. So you have to click the rock. If your stamina bar falls to 0, then crystallize falls off. But because the baseline rocks are so much better than they were, because previously you couldn't crystallize Sarenstones anyway. So because now we have light Animica, which is basically as good as Sarenstones, your peak rate using crystallize is higher, even though the effect of crystallize is lower. And then Lightform doubles it.
Oh, question from the chat. Rockportunities are like your own Rockportunity. They're not actually shared. Yeah. So if you get a Rockportunity, you'll then click it, and that doesn't affect anyone else.
Yeah, there's no competition anymore. Rocks don't deplete anymore. They can just stay at one spot for as long as you like.
There's a guy asking, what are you going to replace ore and bars on the drop table? There is actually a document about that. If you have a look at, I think Moobot is spamming it, like find all the documentation here every so often. Follow that link and go to Spring Cleaner and Drop Tables, I think it's called. And you'll find an explanation of what's going to happen. I think we're going to demonstrate some of it a bit later.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. So there's something new now called an ore box that you can click on. It'll fill it up with what you're carrying.
I've actually seen this icon. That looks really cool.
Yeah, so we got the new asset in for that recently. Another thing that also occasionally happens when you're mining is that you'll drop geodes. They're sort of like when you used to occasionally get gems, but they stack, and you can. They're pretty similar to birds' nests, pretty much birds' nests to mining in a similar sort of way.
Although they get put straight in your inventory, you don't have to pick them up off the floor.
Yeah, that's right. So you could say click one there and see what do we get here. Got a strange rock, because you can get strange gold.
That's a metamorphic geode that you opened there.
Yeah.
So there's 3 tiers of geode, and the first 2 tiers only have gems in them. So they stack, and you open it, and you will get a gem. And I think it can't be an onyx. I think it can be up to dragonstone.
Yeah. You only get the onyx from the metamorphic.
And then a metamorphic geode has only a 1 in 100 chance of dropping, so they're extremely rare, but they always have a good prize in them. So Stu's going to open some to see what they've got in them.
Let's see, we've got leak clue scroll.
They always have a golden rock or a strange rock in them, and then also a valuable prize.
Let's see, we've got an effigy from there. Quite a few more strange rocks. I've done a lot of strange rocks in this account. There's gifts to the Reaper, various things in there, anima. Looks like we've got some alloy bars. We need to do the acid.
Oh yeah, that's part of masterwork smithing. Someone's asking. Shit, I missed the question. How will you prevent auto clicking? We're going to have to rely on bot detection to do that. We've explicitly allowed for fairly repetitive gameplay here. But if you auto click here, you'll trigger the bot detection, I think. The ore graphics are, I think, final.
We've done some iteration on that already, but subject to feedback. Let's go try a different spot, perhaps.
Let's go. Should we do Dark Mica?
Yeah, that'd be good. That's pretty much going to be the same model, coloured differently. But
someone's pointing out. So if you're not familiar with the rework, ores don't despawn rocks. So rocks don't despawn ever. So you can just sit in AFK the same one, although you'll get quite poor XP and ore rates if you do that. If you follow the Rockatunity, the golden glow around, you'll get much higher rates. So I'll talk a little bit about XP rates. I've got some numbers written down here, which we can talk about when we're looking at Saren Stones.
So this is certainly going to pop in the snow, but there's Bainite, which is pretty much black rock.
With regard to Iron Man, the rework's going to be a huge benefit to Iron Man in some ways and a weird problem for Iron Man in other ways. Some things aren't going to be as possible anymore, and some things are going to be much easier. So as an Iron Man, you can grind out your own set of tier 90 power armor if you want to, using the new smithing. But it will be hard. You won't be able to out for money through smithing as much. They're not going to 120.
Question from the chat. The invention perks at the moment are being worked on. Currently in game they don't do it. Currently in the mining smithing rework they don't do anything. But once we've decided what they're going to do, we'll post that up with the rest of the documentation.
I think it's in the thing, isn't it? Yeah, I posted it on the Reddit thread.
It might even be.
If you follow Moobot's documentation link, you'll find a link to what the invention perks are going to do, except Furnace, which I still need to do.
Oh, you're a step ahead.
Do you have which pickaxe are you using?
I'm using the pickaxe of Earth and Song at the moment, which still has the same assets as a regular crystal.
Yeah, we need a model making for it. So that's the best pickaxe in the game now, the pickaxe of Earth and Song, which is tier 90 and augmentable.
That's right.
So we haven't given the special pickaxes special abilities at this stage. Instead, we've made it so that they can be augmented, so you can sort of customize your own special ability onto them.
I'm going to get rid of all these runes because there's way too much. Not enough room in my inventory for it all.
The value of Runite is going to go down after the rework. We were talking about substituting. In the long term, Runite will definitely be worth less than it is now because it's changing from a tier 90 material to a tier 50 material. Sorry, tier 85. But in the short term, as in the immediate week or month after the rework, then the Elder Rune, which is the new level 90 metal, requires a Runite bar to make. It takes one rune bar and one of each of the tier 90 ores. So you need all 3 of those items to make one Elder Rune bar. So in the short term, rune bars will probably spike in value rather than dropping in value. So if you have a large collection of rune bars and you're worried about the price lowering, then you should probably try to sell them or use them within the first week or month of launch, where the price will go up naturally.
Also, some of the environments have been updated a little bit, like they've reworked some of the floor underlays and the lighting in some of these resource dungeons. You'll see here that we've updated some of the resources you can get from here. For example, so this is the Alcrid resource dungeon. There's Draclith and precious gems, and I believe Necrites in this one. Yep.
The chat is moving by very, very quickly.
I'm finding it really hard to pick a single
divine
question.
locations will be going down, dropping to the level of their existing. So a rune divine location, which is currently sort of an 80 odd item, will be dropping to be a 50 item. Same thing really. Like you can use it after the rework to get rune out of it, which will have a short-term high value.
Yeah.
You could use it now to get the rune out of it to have high value. You'll get more mining XP if you use it now, if you care about that. It depends on what you want to get out of the divine location.
Yeah, so we're not adding new divine locations because otherwise that'll have a really awful effect for most miners. In the future, mod like the divine locations that basically would be Orichalcite and up might be added, but
We're not adding those with the
we're not
rework.
doing that.
Yeah. Someone was asking, well, all the new tiers of armor are tank armor, so they won't have much impact on a lot of parts of the economy unless you really want some level 80 tank armor. There is one tier of power armor at 90 and then one tier of power armor at 92, which are extremely long and expensive to make. So you won't just be falling over power armor.
Mining smithing is not going to be an elite skill after the rework.
No, and it won't go to 120. Right, there was something else you wanted to show. So this is Dark Animica, is it?
So this is the gem. This is the
gem.
Alcrid mining site. So we've split up gem rocks into separate tiers. So there's the ones up to red topaz are commons, and uncommons. Actually, we can just show it on the map here. Come on, map.
If you want to know about metal dragons and the spring cleaner, we'll talk a bit about the spring cleaner later. But if you want to go now, go have a look at the spring cleaner document that Moobot is linking.
So gem rocks are now on separately tiered rocks, so you won't be getting as many rocks, gems that you don't want of lower tiers. You can be a bit more focused in which ones you are mining, and ones people usually use are ones over here. So the precious ones just do emerald up to diamond, and then your rare ones are, for example, in the Calgarian dungeon, up to dragonstone.
You can also hear Stu's updated the map so that it shows what drops at that mining site if you hover over it, which is really helpful.
Yeah, hopefully will help with working out where the mining rocks have moved to.
Should we talk about the beta date, since people are starting to ask about that?
Yeah, could do.
So currently we are planning the beta in November, mid-November, I think. I know it looks like it's finished. Very little of this has actually been QA tested because a lot of this stuff is far faster to dev than it is to QA, because so many of the changes that we're making just affect the whole game or every mining site or every rock or every quest. So there's a lot of QA work that still needs to be done before we can even go to beta. And even then we're going to need, a lot of bug reports out of beta hopefully as well. And then we've got to get all that fixed, and only then can we look at actually releasing it.
Yeah.
So because we will, if we sort of tried to launch it now, it would just break the whole game. It crashed earlier today, didn't it? And
Yeah.
everything just broke earlier because there was a change that just crashed everything when you clicked on a furnace, which wasn't very helpful.
So I'm showing you some of the higher tier resources now. So crablets, we've updated the XP for it like minutes ago.
Yep.
They use the core mining system now, but they still have those progress bars over their heads for each individual crablet. And then when that one gets exhausted, then you won't be able to mine from it anymore. You don't have to worry about keeping track of them simultaneously. I can explain that very well. Each one of them will retain their progress on it during that session, so you don't have to worry about, I've accidentally clicked a different one. That one's
Does that mean they don't? So they don't time out. They only time out when you finish mining them yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And it pretty much like how the divination nodes work on Charter Islands. There's a central pool of resources, and the next time you log back into that island, they'll get split out between the crablets there, so you're not going to be losing out on any resources.
To the guy that said we were promised this a year ago, you weren't promised it a year ago. We gave an estimated release date, which was more than a year ago, and then the whole project got cancelled because no one liked it. So we started again. Then we realised it was going to take us at least a year. So then we ran a poll that said, would you like us to do a short version of the rework, which will take maybe 6 months, or the long version of rework that'll take more than a year? And the poll came back overwhelmingly, do the long one. So that's why we're still working on it. And you can see the various things that we're doing.
So the pickaxe of Earth and Song, question from the chat, is made of an Incamdo pickaxe, a crystal pickaxe, and a blast fusion hammer.
Let's show that on your screen when we go to your screen.
But yeah, we can show that at some point.
Can you show that being made as well?
Oh, maybe, but I don't remember
cut over
the
to that
context of those items.
Yeah, we don't.
So probably.
We can cut it there for now if you like.
Should we talk? Well, let's talk about. Since you're on Alia Crablets, let's
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about. So I've got some numbers. So all of the numbers I'm going to give are without boosts and buffs. So this is just base mining XP. Animica is the tier 90 ore. If you mine that and you go AFK, you're getting about 86k, something like that. And if you mine it full active, if you click on Opportunities, you're looking at more like 180k. And again, this is pre-buff. So that gives us a range of the worst you can get mining Animica is 80, and the best you can get mining Animica is 180. So what we've done with Seren Stones and Alia Crablets is that Seren Stones are going to be AFK, so they won't have Opportunities, so you can't get extra XP for moving around. But they're going to be around 130k, which is better than AFK Elder Rune, but not as good as active Elder Rune. At the moment, by comparison in live, they're about 125. So Seren Stones will be a bit better. So if you're thinking that those numbers are weirdly low, that's because you're not taking into account all the buffs and boosts and things. So active Elder Rune XP is significantly higher than current Seren Stones. It's about 50% higher, in fact. So the best you can get is something like 50% higher than you currently can get from Seren Stones. Crablets Crablets are largely AFK. So again, there won't be Opportunities. But even without Opportunities, they're going to be giving about 185. So that's a bit better than the best you can get out of Elder Rune. But of course, they're more inconvenient. And they won't drop ore. So particularly because Animica is likely to be quite valuable in the short term and hopefully into the medium term, you're probably better off doing Animica because the money to gold ratio is better. But if all you care about is XP, if you just want the best XP possible, then Alia Crablets are still going to be the best possible. So I think that's both Seren Stones and Alia Crablets will get a slight buff just to make sure that they're still good. Like we'll err on the side of having them be slightly better than they are now rather than slightly worse than they are now.
On the subject of Seren Stones, I can nip over there now and show you those.
Sure. Several people responded to that by saying those are bad XP rates. Was it that you were not taking into account? Because you can get like 400k right now, but that's a lot of buffs and bonuses that you're using, and you'll be able to use the same buffs and bonuses after the rework. We haven't actually tested yet what the peak possible you can get because we've changed quite a lot of the bonuses. So we will be testing through what is the best possible rate you can get by stacking everything.
Oh, question from the chat. The beta will be an open world beta, like it won't be locked to a test square, it will be the whole game, basically.
That's why we're having to fix everything.
Yeah, because there'll be loads of kind of things like the blast furnace, what's the lava flow mine, loads and loads of stuff that we've had to tweak in some way, and that's kind of what the beta's there for.
So Seren Stones are. You can see the XP per tick coming out there. Was that 300 and something a tick? Oh no, was that a crit?
That was.
Yeah. So you can get critical hits in mining now, which your XP will go up and down with different critical hits, and you can stack crit by using the right perk or equipping the right aura.
Yeah, like the Superior Rock Crushing Scrimshaw 4, I believe, does something like that. So the critical chance then from the Rock Crushing Scrimshaw.
Yeah. So we've converted all the different. They're a bit boring to talk through, but we've converted all the bonuses across to be in the new system. So the Quarry Master Aura, I think, gives crit now, and the Scrimshaws give either crit or extra ore chance, something like that. Yes, you will be able to take the Crystal Pickaxe out of the tool belt. We're changing it so that you can. The only pickaxe you can't take out of the tool belt is bronze.
Yeah, I can show you that now if you like.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Let me see. That's a regular Elder Rune, so that can go in the.
So you put that in the tool belt.
So actually, I'll just show you ahead of time that currently I've got a bronze because I just pulled out my dragon.
Yep.
That sounded like an innuendo. Add to tool belt.
So now you've got that in the tool belt.
To there.
Right.
Tool belt.
And then you can take that back out again.
Remove it.
The only
bronze.
The only restriction is that you can't put an augmented pick in the tool belt still. So if you want to make the new best in slot pickaxe, you're going to need an Incamdo and you're going to need a crystal. If one of those is in the pickaxe in the tool belt, that's fine. You can take it out and use it. Harmonized rune ore. So Trot Hour. We can't demo Trot Hour because of the way it works. So what Trot Hour now does, and please, if you're a member of the Trot Hour mining community, please give us some feedback, because we've struggled to get good feedback on this. So what we've implemented is when trial hour starts, it's supposed to be 2 random worlds, but we had to implement it as each world has a 1 in 30 chance of being either a light Animica world or a dark Animica world. If so, then light Animica and dark Animica rocks will spawn in the Traherne Quarter. Otherwise, it's only as high as Rune, which isn't very good. There's no new rocks.
Yeah, just to clarify,
in the Traherne Quarter.
It's specifically these 2 rocks here.
Yeah.
So it could be, if it doesn't roll, then it'll stay as Runite. Otherwise, it might be the light Animica or dark Animica. And actually, that's quite similar to how the it currently works. Currently. These rocks on a timer periodically will change themselves over to being in their harmonized form. We're just doing that now at the start of the hour, and then it'll stay that way on that world for that hour. So there's still the element of you guys going out and searching for that particular world where it is, but you don't have to move as often. There isn't as much in the way of world crashing. These can't be mined by other people anymore, and so you don't have that issue of you being trolled a bit by someone else and depleting the Runite rocks. So hopefully we'll still have an element of that community.
The important bit I forgot to say is mining is 20% better during trial.
Yeah.
So if you really want to mine Runite, then trial is going to be a great way to mine Runite, but obviously Runite's going down to level 50. But the worlds that have Animica on them, that will be the best mining in the game during trial. Mm-hmm. Because it's a 1 in 30 chance on 2 different worlds, there's an extremely high chance that there's going to be, it was something like 97% or something. It's possible that there won't be any worlds that have Animica on. So just occasionally, none of the worlds will have it. But usually there'll be multiple worlds, and you'll be able to choose between the 2 materials as well.
How does it affect mining, smithing, and dungeoneering? Mining is effectively still an independent system, so it still uses the mechanic of the mining rocks will deplete, and there's a limited number of them in that dungeon. So it's very similar to how you have at the moment. Dungeoneering is kind of its own self-contained game in a way. It's got its own tiering of pickaxes and everything.
It's actually all separate code, so none of what we've done has affected dungeoneering. So we're not planning to update dungeoneering at this stage, because it already has the tiers that make sense. And
thankfully.
Yeah. I'll talk a bit more about alk prices later when we talk about the spring cleaner, I think. Do we want to switch across and
sounds good?
Tom want to show some stuff for a bit?
Oh, shall I just go down the list?
Well, pick the most exciting thing. Are we switched?
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Let's look at.
Stu has mostly been handling mining, and Tom is mostly handling
smithing. Let's look at the new armor, because it looks awesome.
Right. So this is Necronium tier 70.
Yeah. So this is tier 70 armor.
Is that the upgraded or non-upgraded?
This is the upgraded version. Right.
So there's 2 slightly different appearances for each armor.
Yeah, so all the stuff above tier 20 can be upgraded, and basically once you get to the stuff above Runite, then the new art, basically the upgrades will have a slight difference as well. So this one, the lower tier version doesn't have the red stuff in. And with Orichalcite, with the Orichalcum armor, I think it doesn't have as many spikes and things like that. We'll have the Bainite. I've got a thing for the Bainite armor as well.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So we've had the modelling back. Does that work?
Yeah. So this is the what the Bainite armor will look like as well, and this will be the tier 80 stuff. It looks really awesome.
It's kind of gladiator. If you're wondering what's up with the eyes, they're like the sort of colander eyes that you get on gladiator armor.
Yeah, we haven't had all weapons back from these yet, but when we do, I'm sure we'll post them up.
The idea that we're going for, there's 2 principles we're using for the armor here. So most of this, because it's tank armor and because there's already power armor in the game, which is better for the most part, this stuff is for skilling mostly. It's not actually that useful to use. So what we've tried to do is go for quite a wide range of styles. So some of it's a bit fantasy, like the Necronium, and then I think we have do we have an image of the Elder Rune available? Do we have that one?
Oh.
So we've got the Elder Rune models almost. They're not in game yet, but we've got the models back.
Yeah.
Is that coming up? Yeah. So that's the Elder Rune. We don't have. So we have concept art for Masterwork, which we showed before, but we don't have models back for Masterwork yet. So if you like some of them and don't like some of them, then that's great, because that means we've provided a range of different armors. If it turns out everyone likes the same one and hates the same one, then maybe we want to look at that in feedback. But it doesn't. It's fine if you like some and don't like some.
Sorry, just like
we're not planning to do feminine versions of the armor. I don't think. Like there won't be one that has a big boob plate on it.
No, so this is actually currently my character currently is a woman. So this is the female version. They are very similar. Let's do the exciting one. Let's do Bane. So previously, with lots of Bane stuff, you can tune your Bane bolts to Dragon Bane, Abyssal Bane, stuff like that. You can tune Bane weapons and shields as well in the rework. You're basically your tier 80 stuff that you'll make. And to do that, it requires a max upgraded Bane item, so either a two-hand sword, one-hand sword, offhand, or shield. And then it then has the same Bane effect as the bolts against that specific target, with the exception of the accuracy bonus. It only has the damage bonus.
It's a larger damage bonus. It's 25%.
Yeah, and it is, yes, and it is a larger damage bonus. And these basically will require a object to do with the monster you're killing. So Abyssal Bane requires an Abyssal Whip. Dragon Bane requires Draconic Visage. And also we're adding a new version of Bane, which is Revenant Bane. And you can only do this through the mining and smithing stuff. And that requires any of the corrupt weapons, or for the shield, any of the corrupt armor. And also, as you're probably thinking, Bane Shields, what on earth are they? How does that increase my damage? So Bane Shields have a kind of spikes effect, similar to the Elder Rune armor spikes, which basically whenever an enemy hits you, regardless of if it splashes you, if it actually does damage or anything, you then deal a percentage damage back, a straight damage value back to your target. I think I explained that right.
It doesn't scale with the amount of damage you're dealt.
No, so it basically is just a flat value.
Yeah, Thorns effect. Yeah.
What's else on the list? Let's go with... Someone asked about the coal bag earlier. So if I teleport to Dungeoneering...
So we're removing the coal bag. If you're interested in the XP rates, there is a link to the spreadsheet in the documentation that Moobot links every so often. You can go have a look at the spreadsheet and look at all the rates there. It's not updated with things like Seren Stones yet. It's a very complicated spreadsheet and I need to get everything working again.
So this is one thing we actually introduced in the previous beta, was a auto heater. This has completely replaced the coal bag.
So if you have a coal bag, it gets refunded?
Yeah, if you have a coal bag, it gets refunded. If you can't be refunded, as in you have your max cap of Dungeoneering tokens, we just replace it.
You just give them the auto heater instead?
Yeah, because we can't refund it.
So why are we removing the coal bag?
Because of the ore box that you demonstrated.
There we go. Just because it was in the chat.
So the coal bag. So the ore box can store 100 of everything. Upgrade to 120, I think. If you level up, we should demonstrate that actually. So the ore box is just better than the coal bag, and it's more easy to use. And the hopper, which we've explained before, it makes it all easy to use. So the coal bag's just not very useful anymore. So we've not removed it because it's rubbish. We've removed it because it's just not very good, and we've replaced it with something that's useful in the rework.
Yeah. Also, the other Dungeoneering reward was the Scroll of Efficiency. Wasteless smithing isn't really a thing anymore. So basically, if you unlock that, you just get a flat 5% experience boost in smithing, and that'll affect all smithing. So that's really good.
The ore box is so if you played the previous beta, the ore box was just given to you. We've changed it so that you make it with smithing. It's quite cheap to make, and then it basically costs 2 bars of a metal to upgrade the box to be able to store that metal. So it costs like 2 bars of iron to upgrade it to be able to store iron, and you can just replace your box very easily. You don't have to make it yourself. They're tradable. So you can just make ore boxes and sell them, or you can buy them from other people. Can we make Moobot spam the documentation, John? I keep saying go look at the documentation, but Moobot just says it every so often, and I don't know why.
So if I...
It's not that all British people speak fast. It's me. I speak incredibly fast. I apologise if I'm talking too quickly and you want clarification. Let me know.
So if we make a Bane item, it will start at 0. Oh, I've got one in my inventory. Damn. So the auto heater basically takes a when you're smithing now, you have a heat bar, which is this bottom bar that's really tiny and small. And the auto heater, basically, if you've got it in your inventory or your pocket slot, consumes coal from your hopper or from your inventory, wherever you want, and self-reheats your item for you. Just so you can place, if you want to play something super duper AFK and you want to get better rates, the auto heater's the reward for you. One of the other things that affects a similar thing as well is the superheat form, which now when you're smithing at low or medium heat, it acts as if you're smithing at medium or high heat. So if I turn superheat on and I'm currently smithing at low heat smithing, then I'm just getting a lot more experience, as if I would be actively smithing. What else was
the
there?
auto heater is 4,000 DG tokens. It's the same price as the coal bag. So you'll get your coal bag refunded, and you can just use that to buy the auto heater.
We also have the superheat item, which is a similar thing. If I give myself some iron art.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. So there is already a command.
So superheat item does what it says in the tin, how it used to work. Apparently it doesn't.
Oh, CPI isn't broken.
So superheat item should do what it says on the tin.
You don't have the ingredients to make a steel bar. Do you have any iron?
Yeah, I've got loads of it. Give
Try-
Carl.
Yeah, did you have any?
Oh, it's because they look really similar. No, apparently.
Right, it's broken.
So superheat item.
It's supposed to
Well,
work.
it's meant to work.
This is why we haven't launched it yet.
Basically, it does what it usually does, but if you superheat your in-progress smithing object, it can reheat it for you. So you can kind of, if you really want some tick-efficient XP, magic XP and smithing XP, you can go nuts. And if you are superheating from within the artisan's workshop, you can use ores that are in your hopper. So again, if you want some crazy tick-efficient gameplay,
Oh, we were going to change. We're going to change the hopper. We're going to call it metal bank, because hopper's just really confusing. Metal
it will
bank.
use ores from your metal bank.
Metal bank. You're going to get bank space back with this rework, because there's a metal bank where you can put all your ore and all your bars. So, but don't keep hundreds of everything else.
What else? We've also completely changed goldsmithing gauntlets. So goldsmithing gauntlets are now just smelting gauntlets. So normally if I'm smelting the game, let's make steel bars, because that's the one that didn't work. If I want to make normal steel bars, that will just make them physically into my inventory. If I have smelting gauntlets, if I have smelting gauntlets and I have loads of ore in my hopper, so I've got loads of iron ore in my hopper, I can just make sort of 60 bars at once. I can completely AFK it because it automatically adds the bar back into my hopper. And also, you still get the smelting gauntlets as a reward from Family Crest. And as an additional reward from Family Crest now as well, it unlocks the ability to put silver and gold ores and bars into your metal bank as well now. And also, as you've noticed, one of our leveling benefits, I'm making a load of extra bars that keep popping up. That's because my smithing level is like 80 and I'm smelting iron. That can stack itself as well. So say if I have a 10% chance to get an extra bar, that extra bar also has a sort of 10% chance to create an additional extra bar. And there is a max cap, but it's quite high.
It's like 32, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So if you are supremely lucky, you can just get loads and loads of bars really quickly. Should we go to leveling benefits as well?
If you've already finished Family Crest, you'll get the new gauntlets automatically. The old goldsmithing gauntlets will become the new smelting gauntlets.
Someone's repeatedly spamming about Living Rock Heavens. Is it okay if we
Oh
hop
yeah,
over and answer that one?
Let's go. Yeah.
So if we hop over to the screen, please. So we're in
Can we hop over? Yeah.
Sorry, then.
Thanks. We're in one of the most beautiful environments in the game, Living Rock Heavens. Getting our concentrated coal. As you can see, you get quite a big chunk of it each success at a base level of 5 from these. So a very good one to just keep sticking in your ore box as you go. And you don't need your coal bag. Similar sort of idea with concentrated gold. That's the niche that these still fulfill is they'll, for a higher mining level, I believe it's 70 and 80. I think we've re-tiered them slightly.
Yeah.
The
So they're very efficient. I mean, coal obviously isn't used by the high tier ores anymore, but it is used by the auto heater, so you might want to get coal still. We partly put the auto heater in so coal still had a use.
yeah, and they're pretty similar sort of idea for the gold.
Porters, several people have asked about porters. I think porters were not changing; they still work the same, but because of the ore box, they're just not as useful. Like, because you effectively have 100 and so inventory spaces for ore now.
Yeah.
So you don't. Porters just aren't as useful for mining. You can still use them if you want to.
The mining elite outfit will be updated. There will be details on that soonish.
Someone's asking about the Juju
stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah, Juju potion. Yeah.
Juju mining potion. So I'll just turn that on there. I believe it gives you a chance to get stone spirits.
Is it working? Stone spirits? It should be when you. Is it 5% or something?
Yeah, it was a percentage chance on a success of getting.
Yeah, so this ties into what we're doing with drops. So an important priority of the rework is to take ore and bars off drop tables of monsters. What we're replacing them with is an item called a stone spirit. That item can be stacked. Do you have any? You can give yourself some. So that item can be stacked in your inventory. And then when you mine, each time you mine an ore, one stone spirit will be consumed and one more ore will be given. So they're effectively double ore tokens. They're very much like the way bonus XP works. And those will drop from PVM, and then PVMers can sell those to miners, and miners can convert them into real ore and then sell them on. So it's a small. So the idea is it's still profit for PVM, but there's also a small profit for miners, because obviously miners aren't going to buy them if they cost more than the ore does. So it just shares the money around a little bit.
And it's a way that we can take ores and bars off drop tables, and you get them exclusively through mining.
Yeah, because at the moment the problem is that mining is not useful because it doesn't provide ores and bars. And yes, they can be traded and sold. That's the idea of them. So if you're a PVMer, the expectation is you're going to get a lot of these and you're going to sell them, and then miners are going to buy them. Someone keeps asking, is this a way players can get high tier armor without bossing or paying gold? Yes, it is very time consuming, but you can DIY your own set of tier 90 power armor. It will take you a lot of mining and a lot of smithing, hours and hours.
That's the masterwork armor.
That's masterwork armor, yeah. If you want to upgrade it to tier 92, you need to combine it with boss drops. Those will be purchasable off the GE. Sorry, it's not boss drops, it's broken down malevolent armor. And is it just malevolent now? Or is it Torva as well? No, it's Malevolent and Torva. So you need a bit of Malevolent and a bit of Torva to combine it to upgrade it to tier 92. So that for DIYing, that would just require you to either do the boss or do the or get the money to buy it off the G. But if you just want to DIY your own armor, you can do so. We're not changing Malevolent, unless you mean the Masterwork armor. So it's not, the Masterwork armor isn't upgraded Malevolent. It uses pieces of Malevolent to make it. But it isn't Malevolent armor. It's not. It doesn't work the same as the Elite Dungeons do. It's its own unique armor. I don't think we have the concept art for it is public, but I don't think we have access to it right here. We will when the model is done. We'll show you the model, but it's not done yet.
Also, one thing we haven't actually mentioned yet with any of the smithing stuff, all of the smithing armors above tier 17 above are degradable.
Yeah.
So, and you will then have to. You can either then pay to repair it, or you can repair it yourself with mining smithing. And I think they've got, and the amount of charge they have goes up with the upgrade level you do. So like a base Necronium helmet will degrade a lot quicker than a +4 Necronium helmet. Yeah, tier 70 smithable armor is degradable, as is 80 and 90.
Yeah, but you can repair them. Yeah, because you can repair. You can get XP by repairing them, basically. So it's quite convenient to use if you want to do that.
And while we're here, the red sandstone and crystal flake sandstone works pretty similar to how it does at present. It's daily. It's using the new mining system. You'll be getting one of these just about every strike.
Basic smith armor is not augmentable, but tuned Bane weapons will be augmentable, and masterwork is augmentable.
Yes. Oh, and someone was asking about the pickaxes. If we're bringing new pickaxes, we are bringing quite a few new pickaxes. The new metal tiers all have their own pickaxe, which you can also upgrade via smithing. So that will be an Orichalcum, Necronium, Bane, and Elder Rune pickaxes as well as the Pickaxe of Earth and Song. And probably one I've missed.
There was another thing I was going to show. I can't remember what it was now. I was going to explain drop. So we talked about replacing ore and bars. The other thing that's getting replaced, and you can read up more on this if you go check the design documents and look under Spring Cleaner and drop tables. So existing rune drops will be replaced with a new item called Salvage, which has roughly the same alch value and component disassembly. So if you're used to farming a particular monster for its rune plate bodies so that you can disassemble them, you will be able to continue doing so. It's just the item will now be called Huge Rune Plated Salvage or something like that, but it will still disassemble for roughly the same amount of stuff. What we're planning to do on launch is we'll take all of your existing smith gear, convert it into tokens, and then you can use the tokens to buy back your choice of either salvage or gear. So, for example, if you have a rune plate body, we'll take that off you, we'll give you a token. You can use that token to buy a salvage item which has the same alch and disassembly value, if that's what you wanted it for. So if you're sitting on a huge pile of rune plate bodies you were planning to alch, you can buy back salvage to alch. Or you can instead choose to buy like a rune plate body +3 or something, which if you wanted it as gear, you can keep it as gear. So our plan is to let you choose rather than try to guess what you'd rather have.
Yeah, like, and whatever happens, we don't want you to kind of log in after the update and be like, oh, my bank is now worthless.
Yeah,
that's specifically
we
what we
absolutely
don't want.
do not want that to happen. The one thing I think might be a problem in the long run is that the value of rune bars will drop. But as I said earlier, the value of rune bars ought to go up and then go back down again. So there's nothing we can really do about that. It is turning into a level 50 item.
Yeah, but there is the kind of rune bars are a component in tier 90 bars still.
Yeah, so they will maintain some of their value. Springs, so the spring cleaner is being updated. So you will no longer be allowed to. What's the term spring cleaner? Is it dismantle? It's not disassemble. I think it's dismantle. So the spring cleaner will no longer dismantle smith gear. Partly because smithing gear just won't drop.
Should we jump onto this?
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh yeah, we can show that. Yeah, brilliant. Can we jump onto the smithing one? So we've updated the spring cleaner with 2 entirely new modes. One of them auto alchs, and one of them auto disassembles. Both of these new modes are only available for salvage, I think.
Yes.
So the items that we've replaced metal smithing drops with, which are intended only to be alched or salvaged, you can set your spring cleaner to auto alch or salvage them.
Yes.
Tommy's demonstrating. Do you want to talk through the?
Yeah. So basically, you have your regular items that will drop, like your leather armor, bows, stuff like that. Most of that is unchanged, but with the exception with all the.
We were going to take
plate
crossbows
bodies
off. We thought.
Yeah, crossbows.
We may have to take crossbows
tentatively, we might have to take off. But now we have a salvage category, and basically you can either high alch or disassemble it for components. If you high alch it, it still costs a spring, I think.
Yes, high alching costs a spring, disassembling doesn't.
Yeah.
So if you set it to disassembly mode, it will just pick up and disassemble everything automatically.
Yeah, effectively for free. It won't cost you springs. Yeah, you can kind of effectively choose all of your items. And these are all the salvages which we've... So on drop tables, all of the rune plate bodies and stuff like that we've replaced with salvage items of the kind of appropriate thing. So like plate bodies drop plated salvage, swords drop bladed salvage, things like that. And they're in different sizes as well. So I think it's tiny to huge, tiny.
Well, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 bar.
Yeah, there's 5 different sizes of them.
Yeah, and they're worth more, proportionally more.
Yeah. I think that's most of the spring cleaner stuff. I haven't seen any other questions about them. A few questions from the chat. Bane Shields are not anti-fire shields. That was something we considered but decided not to do because otherwise the Bane Shields are just kind of inherently better than the other ones. You cannot have multiple ore boxes, and even if you do find a way to get multiple ore boxes, there won't be any actual benefit for having multiple because they just use vase on.
I thought you could. You could just have. Sorry, you only have one inventory.
Yeah.
You can have multiple copies of the object in your inventory if
But
you
it
want,
won't, effectively
but you
won't do
only have
anything.
one ore inventory, so holding more than one doesn't help.
Yeah. Should we go through leveling benefits?
The alch prices of existing rune items will be being changed. Yes, I hoped that we wouldn't have to, but we are going to have to lower them. Otherwise, your rate at which you can earn money at level 50 smithing is ridiculously high.
So leveling benefits. So now instead of you unlocking kind of certain objects within a tier, now once you can craft anything in that metal tier, you can craft all of it. So as soon as I hit level 10, I can craft all iron. As soon as I hit level 20, I can craft all steel, etc. And basically, for every single level, you get a benefit for that tier. So if we go to, let's say 20, at 21, all steel smelting is 25% quicker. And then later on, you might get another steel smelting benefit as well within that tier. So then it'll be effectively twice as fast. So if you're kind of say 29, 30, your steel kind of experience is a lot higher than it was when you were just at level 20. And that's to kind of retroactively fit the fact that you can now just make everything at 20 as well.
You don't need to complete Ritual of the Marjarat to tune Bane melee weapons. You will still need to complete Ritual of the Marjarat to tune Bane Ammunition. Someone was asking what's happening to Nechrite armor. Tom is wearing it. That is the Nechrite armor. Invictum and Ethereum no longer exist. They've been replaced with Bane and Elder Rune.
Yes, and Bane was that one.
Yeah, that's Bane.
And Elder Rune we have concept for, but not mod. But yeah, and Elder Rune is the one on screen now, I think. What's next on the list? Oh, we've also, in an effort to help Dragon Armor a little bit, we've tweaked Dragon Armor to be power armor. So now the whole all of the Dragon Armor is now power armor. Gives you a strength bonus. Whereas all of the smithed gear doesn't. And that includes the tier 60 smithed gear.
So, I mean, everyone's already using Bandos, right? But it's just a nice...
Yeah, it's just a nice to have.
It makes sense thematically because Orichalcum is the gear that the player can make, and then Dragon is the same gear made by Dragonkin who know what they're doing. So it's supposed to be better.
I think... Oh, and a lot of the smithing rewards... now kind of work with each other as well. So if I've got superheat, which works now, if I superheat my Bane ore, I get a Bane bar.
Ooh.
But now if I actually have my smelting gauntlets and I'm within the Artisan's workshop, superheat my Bainite ore, it actually just goes straight to my metal bank. And a lot of the other rewards work in a similar way. Like if I have my Ring of Forging, superheat will only require 1 iron ore instead of 2, things like that.
There's a couple of questions here that are coming up. So we are not making similar changes to Magical Ranged. This is the mining and smithing rework. It's only going to affect melee. If it goes well, so like we're open to feedback, we're open to changes. If what we've done works well and everyone likes it, then we'll look at making similar sorts of content for ranged and mage. Maybe not fully reworking the skills. I think we probably don't want another year of that.
Yeah.
But we may well add like there are boss drops and you combine them with a lot of skilling in order to make the armor. If it doesn't go well, if everyone hates it, then we'll treat it as a failed experiment, and we won't do it any further. So we're not going to do it consistently across all styles immediately. The skill cape perks we are going to be changing, making them much more interesting. I don't have a final design for those now.
Also art-wise, we're now in the Artisan's workshop, if you hadn't noticed, and it's been reworked. So these are the new furnaces. These are the...
we might change the name of those to smelter, we were thinking?
Yeah.
The terminology is getting a bit confusing.
Yeah, because we also have forges now as well. And this is the kind of dwarven style of stuff. And now next to every anvil in the world, there's a forge, because obviously you can't do your heat smithing without heating it up. And we also have, we also have a human version of that as well. This art is still kind of subject for feedback. And might be changed, but it's the kind of initial pass versions. This is the human furnace, and we have our human forge as well, and the human anvil, which is huge.
Mining urns will still work. Mining post rework should be better XP. If it's worse XP, then we've done it wrong. It's only a bit better, but it should be a bit better XP.
Speaking about urns as well, we've added a new smithing urn that works at tier, I think 70?
70, works over 70.
The highest tier. And that also works with smelting and smithing now, I think.
The guy who keeps spamming, we see an updated Malevolent model? I've already answered, there is no updated Malevolent model.
And the person who keeps asking whether you're going to need Wild Gothic Sleeps in order to use the higher level pickaxes, I'm guessing he means Ritual of the Mazurate for Bane, in which case Bainite is now being separated out from the Ritual of the Mazurate.
Bane is now a core.
Yeah.
Is now a core metal.
So the Bainite area in the Glacial Caverns you unlock with Ritual of the Mazurate will still be there, but there'll be other sources of it. So, for example, up in the snowy area, it was one of the primary sites for Bainite.
So there won't be new weapons there won't be new Masterwork weapons. Masterwork is just armour. There probably will be new Comprex. We haven't worked out entirely what all of them will be, but there probably won't be that many.
It'll be go make a suit of armour.
Yeah.
It probably won't be anything super elaborate. We will have new achievements. We'll probably put some Ball Ache achievements on.
I think that's everything I've
sprinkling a failure chance, so the 2 new modes can't fail, I believe. They
Correct.
always trigger successfully.
And disassembly mode.
Barrows and bandos aren't
springs.
changing. We're not making any changes to any existing PVM armor except dragon. And that's just it. Like the reason that we changed dragon is just thematic primarily. It's not a big deal.
Because referring to the Blast Fusion Hammer
Yes.
from Archaic Sleeps for
Yes,
the high tier pickaxe.
you will need that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Pickaxe of Earth and Song is a combination of the Incanted Pickaxe, Blast Fusion Hammer, and Crystal Pickaxe.
Rune salvage dropped. Yes, so we're looking at drop tables. So if the amount of rune salvage being dropped doesn't compensate for the drop table value of the monster, then yeah, we'll look at changing it. We're gonna need a lot of beta feedback on that. Like we'll get it all in beta, and if you're grinding on something and it's just not as profitable anymore, let us know and we'll try and fix it.
Oh, we've also added in lots of the smithing things that weren't really obviously part of smithing. Things you'd have to kind of just use on an anvil just to arbitrarily create it, like Blurite, Obsidian, Malevolent, all the shields you make. We've now just kind of brought them into the core smithing interface, so they're a lot more readable and discoverable, and you can see what they are. Yeah, I think that's everything from smithing.
Sorry, I was just thinking of an answer to a question and now I've forgotten what the question was, so now I can't answer it because I've forgotten.
Someone asked about the achievement diaries, like the ones in Lumbridge that involves mining and smithing. We've updated those accordingly to where the new mining sites are placed and appropriate tiering.
Rune Dragons will drop a mixture of Runite, Stone Spirits, and probably Rune Salvage.
Oh, also all the arrowheads and ammunition stuff in smithing, because now it takes a lot longer to create. We've updated all of the values effectively per bar. So while it takes probably about the same time per item, the bar cost of each one is a lot cheaper. So now with 1 bar, I'll make 75 rune arrowheads instead of 50.
For things like clue scrolls, we also updated. What were the other things we updated recently? There was a chest, a treasure chest, Triskelion chest, and the other one as well. We went so
Crystal chest.
If anything that currently drops rune equipment as a reward, we've tried to update to drop salvage instead because rune equipment is going to be a less valuable reward.
And similarly, Stone Spirits for bars and ores.
Yeah.
If it's a reward with, or on a drop table, somewhere where you're not getting it primarily through the skills, then we're looking to substitute.
So there's a lot of people asking about portable forges. So if you're paying attention to the mechanics, portable forges won't work anymore. So we've completely replaced them with a new item. So what we were just talking about the plan today. So our plan is each of your portable forges will be refunded into a one item portable pack, which I think is an item that doesn't currently exist, so we're going to have to make it. And then you'll be able to choose, do you want the new item we're replacing it with or a different portable? And the new item we're replacing it with is called a Luminite Injector, and it's an item that you take to the Artisan's Workshop and activate, and it gives everyone in the workshop a 10-minute buff that increases their efficiency by about 10%. Because the way that people use portables is they drop them down and then everyone can benefit from them. So we're trying to duplicate that, but the idea of actually having the portable forge doesn't really make sense in the new mechanics.
Oh, we're also adding it so you can access the blacksmith's outfit via the Artisan's Workshop respect.
Oh yeah, you can, rather than getting it randomly through ceremonial swords, you now just buy it for 100%.
Well, we'll buy a piece of it, yeah.
Yeah, you buy one piece for 100% respect. So you can just grind it out.
Someone asked, are we removing rune items from treasure trails? So if they're treasure trail versions of those things, like the trimmed variants and so on, then they're still staying. But if it's the standard rune plate body, then that's going to be replaced with rune salvage of the same value.
There's quite a lot of people sort of asking, why are you doing this rework? Can you cancel this rework? This rework is a terrible plan. Please don't do this. This is going to ruin the game. Broadly speaking, I mean, we polled it. We polled, should we just add new content at high level for mining and smithing, or should we go back and change everything? And the go back and change everything option won by quite a healthy margin. I think it was about 65 to 35, something like that. So it wasn't a close margin. So everyone who's saying no one wants this, you're wrong. If you don't like a specific change that we've made, please do give us feedback on why you don't like it, and we'll look at whether or not we can or should change it. But our objective here is to make something that people want. So if they don't want it, obviously we're doing a bad job. That does get quite awkward around the interaction between skilling and PVM, because one of the things that we're changing is trying to remove skilling supplies from PVM so that PVM isn't just better than mining at producing mining materials. So there is obviously an awkward tension there, and some PVMers are not going to like that. And I get quite a lot of feedback from skillers saying, you need to ruin PVM more, PVM deserves to be ruined. And I have to say to them, no, PVM doesn't deserve to be ruined. We just need to take away the supplies from them. We're not going to ruin PVM. So we don't want to ruin PVM. We're not trying to make skilling better than PVM. We just want to redress the balance a little bit.
Also, no, mining and smithing will not contain mounts. This is the mining and smithing rework, not the random mining and smithing and mount rework.
We went through Spring Cleaner earlier. If you need to look back on the stream if you want to see Spring Cleaner. Do we have anything else that we want to go through on the list that we want to show?
Let's see, mining-wise, you mentioned leveling benefits.
Oh yeah, let's have a look at those. Yeah, can we go to the mining screen?
Is he even still here? Yeah, good.
Yeah, he's
But might have passed out by now.
plugging away in the background.
Yeah, so leveling benefits, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of them.
So these are because you unlock everything at the tier. You unlock everything at 40, 50. You just get the ability to mine the new ore. These are level benefits that will pop up as you level. Can we have a look at one? Stop a moment, and we'll see. So that 5%, I think that needs rewording actually. But yeah, so at 79, then your crit rate goes up by 5%. Only when mining that ore, I think. So that's only necrite.
That particular one looks to be across the board, at least the way it was written.
Okay, I'll need to check. I think the wording of that is wrong. But,
yeah. Most of them seem to be for a particular resource. The critical swings one didn't specify.
Shooting stars we're going to rebalance, but it won't change fundamentally.
So Bane shields don't give better protection against their tuned monster. They basically just have a thorns effect against that specific monster. And you cannot tune Bane armor. You can only tune weapons and shields.
If there's any particular mining sites you'd like to see, by all means please say in the chat and I can hop there.
Bane ore will be tradable.
Yeah, Bane ore is just a core metal now. It will be the same item as is currently available in game. We're not adding in a separate ore. But it'll be far easier to mine and far more accessible and far better to train on. And you can still use it for the ROTM Bane Ammunition if you want to. It's the same item. So there's a slight difference there. So with Bane Ammo, you tune the ore and then make the ammo out of it. With Bane Weapons, you make the weapon first and then you tune the weapon. This is a different technique that was discovered by the Fremennik. So it works in a different way.
Someone else for the mining guild? Well, conveniently, we are in the mining guild.
This is the mining guild.
Yeah, it has a level 60 requirement, so it has resources up till Orichalcite, which is the level 60 resource.
Yeah, so Orichalcite is the... I say chalcite. I think that's wrong. I think I shouldn't say chalcite, but I like it. It sounds cool.
I just wing it every time I see it.
That's the only source of Orichalcite in the game, I think.
It's the primary source.
Oh, you put them in resource dungeon as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. There are additional sources of it, which I'm currently forgetting because it's been a while since I worked on that. I know the Draclith's primary is Karamja. We kept it fairly rare to try and make the mining guild have an increased relevance. So it's one of the rarer resources in terms of number of sites.
We're not adding extra bank space, but we are adding a metal bank that allows you to store all your ores and banks in a separate bank, which can be accessed from anywhere, and you can smith and smelt from that bank. So you are effectively getting more bank space, but it's not raw bank space in your bank.
Protein bars will be updated to be relevant XP within the tiers. It shouldn't change too much.
They're gonna stay the same.
Yeah, they should relatively be unchanged.
I've tweaked the numbers so that because of the changes we made to forges, you won't be able to stack protein bars and forges together. But so what I did was just buff protein bars by about 30%, I think, something like that. So that the protein bars are just a bit, and I nerfed them a little bit at low level because they were ridiculously good at low level, and I buffed them a bit at the high level. So protein bars are essentially the same. You just sit down and AFK them. Will
there be an amnesty period for the completion escape? Maybe.
It depends on what the achievements are, really.
Yeah, it depends on how.
They're unlikely to be super demanding. We're not going to be do 20 hours of work. You definitely will not be required to make masterwork armor for the comp key. That was a question I missed there.
We're not updating crafting and fletching with this update.
No, this is only mining and smithing, and only we're not updating most melee armor unless we absolutely have to. That we don't have a confirmed release date yet. The beta is planned for mid-November. We have quite a lot to just get working. So you can see that almost everything is now working. Invention isn't working yet, which is a fairly major thing we need to still work on. But we need to actually build the beta itself, which is actually quite a lot of work. And then we need to QA everything before the beta, and we need to, what was the last thing? Oh, we need to do some onboarding. So we're not going to build like a full complicated tutorial, we don't think, but we do need some interface pop-ups and some hints about what's going on, because as you can see, some of the mechanics have changed quite a lot. So we need to introduce you to how heat works, we need to introduce you to how the metal bank works, and so on and so forth.
There will be a small amount of new rewards from the Eisens workshop, from the Respect shop, namely Solemn Smith, which, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of what it's replacing, but that now basically gives you a stacking percentage XP buff when smithing in the Eisens workshop. Illuminite Injector, which increases all XP within the workshop currently, and your blacksmithing outfit pieces. I don't think there's that many more questions.
Did we have anything else we wanted to show? One of the things you can buy from the Artisan's Workshop, at least at the moment, is Luminite Injectors, the portable forge replacement. You can also buy for 100% respect, and that's the sort of I don't have anything else to buy item.
Someone asked if the What's Mine is Yours quest will be getting a major rework. I wouldn't say a major rework, but it was one that I had to do quite a lot of work on because of all of the post-quest tasks and things. There's no basement area to the Artisan's Workshop anymore, so you don't do the smithing of tracks. So you're just handing in some items to the guards to looking the wrong screen. A couple of characters will still be there, but essentially you're doing burial armor instead of smithing tracks, and some of the tasks have been re-tiered appropriately for the mining levels they require.
New ores and items will definitely not be dropped in PVM. Old ores and items also won't be dropped in PVM, so we're completely removing ores, bars, and smithable equipment from drop tables. They won't be obtainable through combat at all, and we're mostly removing them from other sources like treasure trails and that sort of thing as well.
There is a bank in the Eisens workshop.
Huh? Yeah.
Someone asked the question.
Someone was asking about the capacity of the metal bank. Can we actually show them the metal bank? Because it kind of so at the moment you access it through the smithing interface.
Yeah. So we jump to the smithing screen.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Right. So on the left you can see all your bars. So it only stores the core bars at the moment. Did you update it to store gold and silver as well?
So it doesn't actually do gold and silver bars on the interface yet.
Oh right, but it does store them.
Yeah.
Okay. So it stores all the core metals, all the ores, all the bars, and it can store I think 2.5 billion of each or something.
Or 2.1
billion. So it will take all of your core metals. It won't take bluerite, I don't think.
No. So yeah. So it will basically take all the core metals and
but you should destroy
gold
that.
and silver.
You should destroy your bluerite. You don't need it.
And yeah, and you can put all your ore in there and all of your bars in there, and
so
you can smith and smelt from that hopper as well. So if you're smelting, basically you don't need the ore in your inventory. You can have the ore in your metal bank. And if you're smithing, you can smith from the metal bank, especially because the very high end of smithing. So say if I'm smithing an Elder Rune, plate body +5, that costs me 80 Elder Rune bars. So I obviously can't do that just from my inventory, and you have to specifically do that from your hopper. From your metal bank.
Metal bank. The steel plate body that's used to make a steel Titan pouch is being replaced by a coal stone spirit, which you can get from a steel dragon. Or anything else that would have previously dropped coal. Because there's no steel stone spirit because you can't mine steel. So it's a bit weird, but it's fine. If you're interested in any specific fix and how we fixed it, if you follow the documentation that Moobot links and go look at other content, there's a document that's labelled like other content. There's a huge list of everything and what we're changing it to and how we're fixing it. So if you want to know exactly what a Quarry Master Aura is going to do, or exactly how a Stone Spirit pouch is going to be made, go have a look at that documentation and it will tell you.
Ores and bars won't automatically go to your metal bank. You'll have to physically go and put them in, but you can put certed versions of them in as well. So say if on day one you've got a giant stack of all the ores and bars you could ever want in your bank, you can just kind of cert them all, take them to your metal bank and deposit them.
Certing is what developers call noting.
Yeah.
The big thing to do post 99 is make masterwork armor. 99 mining will be useful because we're actually adding in an ore which should be valuable. 99 smithing is useful because you can make yourself armor spikes, which you carry, I think, in your pocket slot or inventory.
Yes, you can carry them in your inventory.
They're
or
not quite
slot.
working properly, you said, so you don't want to demo them in combat.
No,
but you can make armor spikes. You stack them in your pocket slot or your inventory, and then they have a thorns effect, like what we were describing for the Bane Shields. So whenever a monster attacks you, and I think it doesn't have to hit you. I can't remember.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to hit you, but every time it attempts to hit you,
either hits you or splashes you.
Yeah, you then deal damage.
You deal damage to it. It doesn't matter how much damage it would have dealt to you. It's a static amount of damage that you deal.
Yeah, and that does stack with the thorns effect of the tuned Bane Shields.
Yes.
So if I'm fighting a dragon and I've got my Dragon Bane Shield and I've got armor spikes, then every time it even makes an attempt at hitting me, I'll already deal a load of damage to it.
Dragon Slayer will no longer have rune plate body locked behind it. Armor spikes are untradeable, so you have to have. I think we put them in. Did we put them in with this? Yeah, it's like you can make them at 90, and then the damage gets significantly higher with your smithing level. So you want 99 smithing to maximise your damage from the armor spikes. The other thing you can do with 99 smithing is make masterwork armor and trimmed masterwork armor. I think we're going to call it. Which are tier 90 and tier 92 power armor, respectively. But we expect, so masterwork armor is so long and complicated to make that we don't expect most normal players to make it. Like, it's only for people who really want to do smithing as their primary in-game activity. So that's why we're not tying achievements to it, or we're not going to put it on the comp cape or anything, because we don't want people who don't want to do it doing it. So we don't want to put anything in that incentivizes you to do it, like a comp requirement.
Armor spikes do only work in melee combat. They only work if you've got, I think, melee armor on, and if you're within melee range of whatever's hitting you.
Someone's asking, how are you going to someone's pointing out you can't guarantee the price of a rune stone spirit because it will be dictated by GE value. That is correct, yes.
And someone's asking about mining and smithing on Tutorial Island. That's something that we still need to look at when we do the onboarding. That's like one of the last things we do. But mechanically speaking, mining and smithing work on there at the moment. We have to decide whether we want to introduce mechanics like heat that early on, or whether that will come at a later stage.
I think heat should only work at level 10, so you wouldn't see it. But you put a forge in already, didn't you? So it does work, but probably heat's a bit fiddly to learn on.
It's a matter of whether we want to introduce those additional mechanics early on or not.
Melee range, it does not. Armor spikes don't work in melee range. They work at range 1. So if an enemy attacks you from range 1, regardless of the attack type it uses, then you damage it. If it attacks you from further away than that, regardless of whatever weapon you're using or whatever weapon they're using, then it doesn't. It specifically doesn't stack brilliantly with the scythe. We didn't want to make it multiplicatively effective with the scythe.
Is there a hero item coming this update? Who knows? That can be a mystery you can solve.
No, there isn't.
Mystery solved.
And no changes to Throne of Miscellanea, but we put in an item which makes use of coal, so hopefully that will be good. We can always put more uses for coal in later if we want to.
Rock opportunities won't have any prerequisites.
Yeah, it's just part of the core mechanics, or most of the things. So unless we've talked about it as a reward, like here's what this ring is going to do, here's what this aura is going to do, everything we're talking about is just part of the mechanics. So everyone gets a metal bank, everyone gets an ore. Well, you get an ore box if you buy one off the GE for the cost of like 2 bronze or something. You can make your own for with the smithing of 1. How are we doing for time?
It's 10 past 6.
Oh right,
Oh.
okay, we better wind it up then.
We've got time there, people on there.
Oh yeah, so we do. Yeah, this is literally on every single part of the Twitch chat that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
reading, and I hadn't noticed.
Masterwork armor will be degradable.
Yes, it will be degradable. It's complicated. I've been trying. I think the repair costs are too high at the moment, so I'm going to adjust the design to make them too low, to make them lower. Someone's asking why don't. I imagine they're saying the rework should have stricter comp requirements so that PVMers are required to skill. So there will be comp requirements, unless for some reason we decide that they don't make sense. But they are specifically not to do masterwork armor, because if PVMers were required to make masterwork armor to do their comp, then they would dump it on the auction on the GE, and that would lower its value for skillers. So the reason that we're not making it a comp rec is to keep the price higher. We don't want it artificially lowered by people who don't want to do high-end skilling, doing high-end skilling and ruining the price.
Sorry, I was showing off that you can make up to 16 extra bars each time you make one.
Someone keeps asking about mining and smithing and dungeoneering. We covered that earlier. Mechanically speaking, they'll be pretty much how they are at the moment. They operate outside of the
Is there
new
anything?
systems.
Is there anything we
does it-
haven't shown that we should show? Oh, sorry.
From a mining perspective, I believe we've covered
We shown
everything. And if,
everything
Yeah, I'm
we
good.
wanted to show? There's a bunch of stuff we haven't. Like we haven't showed how the Quarry Master Aura works, but it just gives you a buff.
I mean, I
It's
can
not
hop around to more
interesting.
mining sites and show you
Yeah, it doesn't seem.
log flow mine or something, but most of it's fairly
I think we
self-explanatory.
should probably wrap it up. We're not getting. Someone the beta is
Midnight.
probably members only, I would say, because so the previous beta was available to free to play, but we only have one beta world, so we can't have a free world and a members world. I think that's correct. So that would mean it would need to be members only. I'll need to check into that, but I wouldn't expect it to be available to free players.
Master of Armor's not in game at the moment, so we cannot show you that, unfortunately.
There is concept art floating around. I don't have a link to it right now.
People asking about Rune Essence. Pretty much you mine it much like you do at the moment.
Back in the day, this small update would have taken the team 2 months, 4 months tops. Dungeoneering took 2 years.
With
Ritual-
8 divs?
With 8 devs or something like that. No, it wasn't 8 all at the same time. Ritual of the Marjarat took 18 months for four devs, I think. Ritual of the Marjarat was huge. That is not the case. We're doing pretty well.
You'll gain respect at roughly, in the Artists Workshop, at roughly the same rate as you previously would, as we've had to kind of tweak it slightly. But if you're smithing kind of Elder Rune consistently, it's probably slightly above what it is now.
Respect scales with the amount of XP you earn, right? So the more XP you get, the more respect you get.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can get... do we have any fears about the rework? Yes, I do. We are changing a huge amount of stuff, and I am very worried about that. We do need to be keeping a careful eye on it. So a lot of you are worried. We care too. We're not just going to ship this out without paying attention.
Jack hasn't had a good night's sleep in
about
9 months.
In about 18 months now. Yeah. I am worried about things like out prices. I am worried about things like protecting banks, and so we are going to be keeping an eye on that. Please do play the beta. What our plan is, I can't guarantee this because it might technically go wrong, but our plan is that you'll be able to import your existing account to test out how your character works in the beta. So please do try it out. If it doesn't work to your satisfaction, if your bank gets ruined, if your favourite thing to farm is now worth nothing, please let us know so we can fix it.
Can you become a chair? You can be whatever you want to be.
Iron Men won't be locked out of anything. No, all this is. I mean, they won't be able to trade. So some of this stuff is designed around the idea that you'll be able to trade it. So because the whole point is that we want to make smithing useful, so you can make stuff, so that you can trade it to people. So some things won't work brilliantly.
Have we covered free to
Iron
play?
Man.
That keeps coming up.
Oh yeah, so all the basically Rune and below will be free to play. Everything above that will be members.
Members, yeah.
Um,
That benefits free to play in some ways. It's a penalty to free to play in other ways.
yes, it's a mixed bag.
We're not doing anything with cannons. Although you'll still be able to buy the upgrades from the Artisan's Workshop.
So the production of arrowheads and dart tips and ammunition and stuff will be the same rate, but obviously it takes longer per action now. So the bar cost will go down. So now I'll use 1 bar. That will give me 75 arrowheads, but that will take effectively the same amount of time as it does in game now to make 75 arrowheads.
The metal bank will be available to free to play. Yes, as far as I know. The restriction on free to play is you won't be able to access the 60 and above content, but all the mechanics will still work. So rock opportunities will still work, and upgrading will still work. Thank you, John.
I didn't know what that meant.
Will the armors be expensive at the higher levels? I'm not sure which armors that's referring to. XP rates are intended to be better. There are a handful of weird edge cases, but our intention is that if the rework ships and you go, oh, I wish I'd leveled or made this or used this before the rework ship, that we don't want that to happen. There may be cases where we just can't help it because of something that would ruin the game otherwise, but our objective is to make it so that the rework is an improvement to the game, and that also means an improvement to your personal game experience.
It's usually in your best interests to do the stuff after rework rather than trying to rush it out now. Like, it's not really worthwhile for you to try and get loads of Bainite, for example, because the rates of depletion are much slower. The lava flow mine is going to be far faster rather than feeling you need to rush it out before.
Yeah.
The
update. You can go get your
do.
Incamdo pickaxe now.
Yeah.
We've updated the lava flow mine so that I think it's slightly easier. It's much more predictable. The nymph spawns much more predictably now.
Yeah.
After the rework, so you can go get your Incamdo pickaxe now, or you can wait and do it after the rework. Right, I think we better wrap up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. If you still do have questions, you can find us on the RuneScape Discord. I'm chatting on there all the time. You can tweet us. You can post on Reddit, you can post on the forums. You can't email us, but you can contact us via any of these modern methods. And we're happy to answer questions or explain how some things work or change our minds if we've made a mistake. So do contact us and send us feedback. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks. See ya.